Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. So today, I wanted to talk about eyeshadow because, when don't I? And I realized it's been about half a year since I've done and updated my current favorite eyeshadow palettes / eyeshadow formulas. I kept thinking like, no, I did one recently, but it was in November, and that's half a year away. I'm terrified by how fast this year has gone by, but it's May, it's my birthday month, and I'm just super pumped up to have a bunch of new current favorite eyeshadow formulas I want to share with you guys, as well as some ones that have really stuck with me throughout the months. Also, I really wanted to film this video today because my favorite eyeshadow palette is now no longer my favorite eyeshadow palette. I have a good mix of some like pretty well-known formulas and palettes, and also some like indie brand things if you're an eyeshadow hoe like me and you just want to see some of the best formulas ever. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and let's get into it. So the Morphe and Tarte Westbrook palette, it's called the Unleash the Tea palette, and it's beautiful. Okay, in all seriousness, I do want to talk about this just because this has been my favorite palette for the past couple months. In my most recent video, I actually talked about how much I love this one, and then Dramageddon happened. I do love this palette, and even though the person who made this palette isn't necessarily somebody that I'd like to promote at this moment, that still doesn't change the fact that the formula in here is one of my favorites. So I'm really sad and disappointed more than anything about this, just because I really believed in James Charles, and I thought he was doing amazing things for the community, for men in makeup. I think we all deserve better and we all expected more. I do believe in forgiveness. I believe everyone has the opportunity to gain that, and if the day ever comes that he demonstrates a complete change in character, I will peel off this label, but until then I will continue to use my Morphe and Tarte Westbrook palette in privacy off my channel. So yeah, this is goodbye. Bye, sister. Hi, Editing Julia here. I feel like I got a little bit like lost in what I was saying and I didn't actually clarify what I meant. Basically, I'm gonna not be using the palette on my channel anymore until he demonstrates that he has changed. And that's a different line for everybody. I think I'll be able to judge it when I see it, but until then I will continue to use the palette in private, but it won't be on my channel for the time being. So yeah, that's my statement for now, I guess. I have to make public statements? I'm an influencer? What? However, I have been really falling back in love with my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. I stopped using this one when the James Charles one came out, but over the past couple months, especially as I've gotten more into doing neutral eye looks, which you wouldn't be able to tell by my current face, I've been really enjoying this palette. There's a lot of really gorgeous soft tone neutrals in here. You also have some more dark, dramatic shades, so you can kind of do whatever your heart desires and travel with this one. It's just a really solid palette, and the formula is still kicking after like 2 years. I'm also super excited to see what Jaclyn does in her own makeup line, which I believe should be dropping this month unless she decides to delay it again. I'm super excited to see what her line will have because she's kind of done a bunch of collabs already, so I want to know if anything in her line would be different from what she's already put out. But yeah, congrats to Jaclyn on being happy in her new life. Okay. I've been really riding hard for the Desi Katy palette lately. This is from Dose of Colors. This, dare I say, was probably the best palette of 2018 in my opinion. Also probably the most unproblematic brand collab of 2018. Like these colors though. And if this palette had dropped in like maybe summer 2018, I probably would not have been interested at all just because the color scheme does seem to be a bit more neutral than what I was preferring back then. But I'm so in love with this, mostly just because of the formula. Dose of Colors really flew under the radar for a while, I feel like. Their matte formula, oh my god. It's a really rich, buttery, creamy formula. It feels like it has a lot of dimethicone in there, so they swatch really easily, they blend super easily, and they build really nicely on the eyes. So I feel like these are matte shadows I can sheer out or build up depending on what I want. Just a Kiss is the most beautiful, like wet looking powder shimmer that I've ever seen in my life. I love Dirty Money as well, and a moment of seizing in my heart. All around, this is a really solid palette, and I think it's my current #1 favorite palette in my collection. Be gone, fuck! Just because the color scheme is everything to me. It really works for more dramatic or neutral looks, and it's beautiful. I think a couple times a year they put this one on sale, so you can probably get it then, but I would pay full price for this again and again because it's just one of the best things I've ever tried. By the way, I'm sorry if the light shifts throughout this video. I'm filming with natural light as usual, and nature is problematic. My Anastasia palettes have always held a special place in my heart. Modern Renaissance was one of the first high-end palettes I ever bought, and this original one is one that my grandma got me, and I talked about her in my last videos, so this is very special to me, and clearly I've used the crap out of it. So Modern Renaissance was my favorite until Soft Glam came along, and this has kind of just stolen my heart. Precious when you smile. It's so neutral and so basic, but also so not basic. The colors are rich, they show up beautifully on the eyes. There's a really good mix of shimmers, really dramatic looks, really soft looks you can create, and it does all the things. And then Modern Renaissance I've also been using for some soft looks. I kind of just do neutral brown looks every single day now, except for days I'm filming, so these I've been kind of reaching for on the daily basis. Sadly, I've kind of been neglecting my Riviera palette. I reviewed this one in March and I liked it, but I didn't think it was going to be a holy grail for me or something I would reach for all that often, and I was right. I don't really reach for it all that often unless I want a really, really good pink, Bahamas. Other than that, I kind of have to like remind myself, hey, you should use the Riviera palette today, if that makes sense. Whereas with Modern Renaissance and Soft Glam, I don't have to like remind myself to use them. I just kind of look into my palette collection. I see these.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
I feel the same way about these that I do about Shawn Mendes. It feels almost preemptive to be putting this into a video so early just because I've only been testing this for about 3 weeks now, but I have quickly fallen in love, so I wanted to share it anyways. I will be reviewing this at the end of the month, but the new Too Faced Natural Lust palette, I've kind of been dying for. Too Faced has been a brand that's been very hit or miss for me. I guess I never miss, huh? With their eyeshadow formulas, I've tried some really good, most of their permanent palettes I feel like are really, really good, and their limited edition palettes just suck so much. I used to own the Natural Love palette, but I got rid of that one just because I wasn't really reaching for it. It was very shimmer heavy and not too many mattes in there. So when this one came out and I saw that there was a really good assortment of mattes in here and the shimmers looked to be really beautiful as well, I was so down. I love that it's kind of divided into two. You have the very, very soft basic colors on this side and then some more dramatic and like fun colors on the other side. Very nice and versatile. You do get 30 shades in here, so there's a lot of different things you can kind of do. And as of now, I've only posted one look with this one on Instagram, but I have been using this for 3 weeks and I pretty much have been wearing this one or Soft Glam or Modern Renaissance every day. So I think this is a really good solid formula. I don't think Too Faced is the best with consistency, but I would say any of their permanent palettes are a pretty good bet. And the packaging, how dare they? I feel like sometimes Too Faced goes so hard with their packaging that it really cuts into the quality of the actual formula of the product. So sometimes they focus too much on making their products pretty but not actually making them good. And this is kind of the best of both worlds. It's pretty and it's really, really good. Speaking of beautiful packaging, Nabla. Great segue, Julia. The Soul Blooming palette I've been using quite a bit just because the outer packaging is spring as shit. The colors in here are really nice and like soft, kind of springy. You do have a few like darker shades in here. I've been using Caravaggio very often as like a nice smoky liner, but this is one of my favorite indie brands and indie formulas. The mattes in here really remind me of Anastasia, but without that very powderiness, so you're not gonna get a ton of kick up, but you're still getting that very soft, very creamy formula. And the Dreamy palette is just as dreamy as Chris Evans's eyes. So dreamy. This one's a bit more warm toned. I feel like they actually play really well with each other. They're coming out with a new palette and I'm super excited about it. The color scheme looks stunning, and if the formula is like any of these, I'm totally good with it. Nabla is famous for posting the most photoshopped swatches known to mankind, so if I do get that palette, I will definitely do better swatches than this, but this is one of my top like 5 favorite formulas, and currently these are 2 of my favorite palettes in my collection. I have another indie brand that I really love. Nabla is from Italy, but this one I believe is from Canada, but I think I've probably single-handedly become the spokeswoman for the Moira Sweet Paradise palette. They have a bunch of these Destiny eye and cheek palettes, and this is my personal favorite. I tried the pink toned one, but it wasn't really my thing. This, however, killed me. Also, normally I don't really love like 2-in-1 palettes. I just prefer like a good solid highlighter palette on its own and then a good eyeshadow palette on its own. So my expectations weren't that high, but the second I opened this, the colors really struck me. It's obviously a rainbow palette, but it has something unique about it. The yellow isn't quite like bright sunshine yellow. It's a little bit of like a mustard hue. Same with Cutie. It's kind of like this mustardy, orangey yellow shade. There's a navy blue in here. You never see that. Good solid palette. And overall, I just think the formula is awesome. The shimmers in here are okay, but the mattes are really the star of the show. They're very buttery. They blend really easily. And surprisingly, they don't lose pigment when you blend them out on your eyes, which is something that's very hard to create in a colorful formula like this. So I think this is one of the most underrated, most special indie palettes I've ever tried. So I'd love to see them come out with more color schemes of these, or just more smaller palettes, because this can be pretty overwhelming. It's a lot of different shades and it's very big, but I think it's wholeheartedly like one of the best palettes I own. Good news for my heart, but bad news for my savings. I've really fallen in love with the Melt Cosmetics formula lately. Melt is notorious for being very hard to get your hands on and also really ridiculously expensive. I'm actually currently wearing the Blueprint stack on my eyes right now, as well as some of the shades in the Gemini palette. I personally think the stack formula and the palette formula are the same. I know some people think that the stacks are better, but I didn't really notice a huge difference. I think I want to get the Smoke Sessions palette as well, just to compare. If they don't bring this palette back, I will be suing. If you're a grungy hoe like me, Milk puts together some of the most beautiful, interesting color schemes, and I've just been really loving this formula. So I think their mattes are god tier, but their shimmers, they're one of the few shimmers you don't even have to use like a wet brush with, which I don't find in a lot of formulas, but this truly just performs like amazingly on the eyes. So Gemini palette is personally my favorite from them. My blueprint stack arrived pretty much completely shattered just because it's almost all shimmers, and the shimmers are super fragile. So that's a huge problem I think they really do need to rectify, because their formula is amazing. It's just very, very fragile, very soft, and I wouldn't feel comfortable traveling with these or even just like ordering them online. So even though their formula is amazing, it is very softly pressed, which can be very dangerous to travel with or even just ship. So I simultaneously want them to press their shadows a little bit firmer, but also no, they're perfect. So yeah, you can't have everything, I guess, but this is my whole heart. If you missed out on the Gemini palette though, for $12, one of my favorite palettes in the world is the Colourpop Just My Luck palette. I just wanted to talk about their 9pan palettes right now because these are probably the best formula that they've ever released. I think their original Kathleen Knight's Dream Street palette was really good. And then the Good Sport palette was just a little bit better. The Sweet Talk, I would say, is kind of between those two. And then these palettes are like, here's Good Sport, here's these. Just My Luck is a completely monochromatic green palette. I've done a few different looks with this one, as well as a get ready with me on my channel. So if you want to see this one in action, I believe I do have a tutorial with this one. It's My Pleasure is my favorite of the two that I have. And I'm waiting for them to come out with like a yellow themed one. They have a pink one, which I don't own. They have a sad excuse for a blue one. I'm waiting on yellow. I'm waiting for every other color in the rainbow. But these two are stunners, and for $12, genuinely one of the best palettes I've ever tried. I also think they do a pretty good job of balancing the ratio of mattes to shimmers. Even though there are only like 4 mattes in here, I think you do have a good enough mix and like range of depth. So you have your transition, you have your like mid-toned crease shade, and then you have a deepening shade on the outer corner. And overall, these are just such a stimulus for creativity. When I was planning out this video, this was one of the first palettes I reached for, and it's another indie brand palette. This is the Sosu and Kaylee MUA Urban Bible palette. I love Kaylee. She is amazing, super talented, unproblematic, stunning, and a creative genius, as it appears. They came out with the Urban Bible palette, I want to say last year or maybe at the beginning of this year, and I've been wanting to get my hands on it, but Sosu is an Irish brand and so is Kaylee, so it was a little bit of a struggle to get this one, but I finally purchased it, and goddamn. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know I'm being annoying about this palette because I've posted pretty much 4 different looks with this one in a row. Just such an inspiring color story. I do wish there were a few more like lighter tone shades. It's a lot of really bright and dark shades, so there's not a ton in the way of like transitions or anything, but I don't mind pulling in a few other shades to work with this one. I have plenty of transition shades in my collection. The formula is truly insane though. These are some of the best colorful shades. Sacred Fire and Unruly are 2 of my favorites in my collection, and if I ever feel uninspired, I just kind of look at Kaylee's Instagram, see a look she's done with this palette, and I'm like, I'm gonna recreate that shit. If you're wanting to support a really, really great influencer or a really awesome brand, I think this is an amazing brand. I love the aesthetic, I love the person behind it, I love her mind. So powerful. Her mind is just compliments to the chef. Guys, I've just realized my personality is slowly becoming Samantha Ravindal the more I watch her. I mean, not complaining. Samantha's everything I hope to be in my life. When I grow up, I want to be Samantha Ravindal. I just keep saying these Samantha-isms. I'm truly assimilating into her cult. And the final palette in this video is kind of a surprise to me, but I've been reaching for this so often that I couldn't not mention it. But this is the Masquerade Mini by Juvia's Place. It's a brand that I really love and enjoy, but this was not a palette that I thought I was gonna love when I first bought it. I kind of just bought it for the review. But now I find myself reaching for this very often. Kind of been reaching for this one for some more like natural looks, but also the shimmers in here are one of the most amazing ridiculous formulas I've ever seen. So I'm gonna swatch, let's do Dahlia because I don't use this one very often. Truly one of the most rich, intense, buttery shimmer formulas, very reflective and insane. $25, most of their palettes are under $25, I believe. I don't understand. They're kind of like the Morphe of indie brands. Everyone knows about them. They're not really indie anymore, but I think they've just been really doing some amazing color stories, consistently inspiring me. And I had to mention this one because for colorful looks and neutral looks alike, it's just stunning. So those are my top 10-ish favorite palettes right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you guys are using and what you guys are loving because I like buying things.
No, ma'am, I'm afraid that's not allowed.
So let me know in the comments what are your current favorite eyeshadow palettes because I would love to try them out. Also, I do want to say there were a ton of different palettes I wanted to include in this one, but because it's only top 10 favorite formulas right now. I wanted to really narrow it down. So if you've seen me promoting a palette on my channel, but you're like, why isn't it in here? It's probably just because it didn't quite make the mark, but I still love it. But yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed down below, and also follow me on Instagram to see makeup looks like this posted inconsistently. And if you made it to the very end of this video, I love you so much. You get the bonus meme. Bye, sister.